Hola chamas y chamos, welcome back to Álvaro Dev Labs. Today we're gonna continue our journey with Vite and we are gonna create a library for our applications using Vite Lib Mode or library mode. This video is sponsored by Storyblok. This mode makes everything easy to create your own bundles. It supports ESM, CommonJS modules, UMD and more. But before we jump into the tutorial, I'm really excited to announce that I'm going to join all the nice speakers at the Knox Nation conference next week on the 16th and 17th of November. Here is the little spot that I create for the conference. Hola chamas y chamos, I'm Álvaro Saburido and I want to invite you all to the Knox Nation conference next week on the 16th and 17th of November. I will be joining an amazing lineup of speakers from the Knox core team to community experts. Join me to learn how to add a new dimension to your Knox websites using 3D with Three.js. Claim your free ticket in the description below and join us on the stage. See you there, Knox lovers! So enough chit chat, let's start creating something. Here I have a repository that I created to amplify today's tutorial. And I decided to use a monorepo because it's gonna make it easy to show you how you can install the package in an actual app. So this is a pnpm workspace. It's really basic. It has a directory for all your packages and then they have another one that you can put your applications in. Why is it helpful? Because we're gonna create a utility package, okay, some JavaScript utilities under packages, okay, and we're gonna build it and install it into an application that we're gonna create on apps. We're gonna create a Vite application and inside here we're gonna test the package. So it makes it really easy. You don't have to create like inside of the library a demo page to test it. You can easily do it like this and install all your packages locally like you will do it with npm or yarn, but with symlinks, and pnpm takes care of all. That being said, let's create our first library. So we're gonna jump into the terminal and I'm basically going to cd packages, okay, and here we're gonna create our first library with it. So create Vite Utils. It's gonna ask us if we want to do it with vanilla or with a specific framework. For simplicity of this tutorial, let's use vanilla JavaScript or TypeScript. Okay, so we're gonna select vanilla and then TypeScript. Okay, so let's clear it out, and then inside of here, let's just install the packages that we need, and let's try to install the path again. Cool. So you're gonna see on our package.json for utilities that first of all is of type module. This is gonna be important. And also we had the dev dependencies. We have pathy for the path, TypeScript and Vite. Okay, so let's start doing some code. Here in the source, I'm gonna clean it up a little bit because it comes by default with some stuff. So like a main TS that auto injects stuff and so on. And we're gonna delete this. Okay, we are going to create an index.ts here, and probably we need to change this. You're gonna see why. Okay, so I'm gonna just close this for a moment and close this, and let's create a simple utility that told us is a variable, is a boolean or not. Okay, so we're gonna do it first in the index.ts. Of course, eventually you will like to. So let's do it here. Export const is boolean. Okay, and this is gonna be an arrow function that we're gonna pass a value. That could be anything. And value is boolean. What we're gonna do is check the type of value and equal to. Okay, perfect. So what happens if we build this? If we open the terminal and we say nr build, nr is like an alias thing. It's a library by Anfu that allows you to use one command and it will check here If we are using pnpm, then it's going to use pnpm. If you have a package log, it's going to use npm, and a yarn log is going to use yarn. So it's pretty intelligent. Now that we have done our build, we're gonna see that it creates in the this folder index, and then it created an asset with a bundle. But we actually don't need this because we are not building an application that needs to run in the browser or with an HTML and stuff. We actually need a bundle, a separate bundle, right? That we can distribute and then install in another packages. So this is where the library mode comes handy. If we go to the documentation of it, we're gonna see that in building for production, it has this library mode. What it does is that it tells Vite to basically treat your code as a library and not as an application. It will create some bundles for the specific formats that you decide, and by default it creates for UMD like a CommonJS and ESM modules. Okay, so you only need to add a vite-config.ts, and inside of it you're gonna in the build property use this lib property. You declare an entry which is gonna be your source index, and then the name of your library. Okay, so let's go back to our code, and we need to create a vite-config because by default it goes really minimal and it doesn't have it. So inside here we're gonna say vite.config.ts, and we're gonna import here define config from Vite, and we are gonna export the default define config, and inside of it we are gonna use build library, and here inside we can actually copy and paste this part. Okay, so we need to import resolve from path E. Okay, let's save, and here we're gonna change it to source because we are not using that directory format. You can use it if you want, but we are gonna use source, and here we're gonna put index.ts. And now it comes the more amazing part of any application, is naming our library, right? And I'm gonna be super original and just call it the awesome lib. And here we put it like a snake case. Okay, so it's gonna be the awesome lib. Cool. Let's see if it works. So let's open here, check the this, okay? And we're gonna run the command again in our build. Now you're gonna see that the output is different than before. Instead of creating an index HTML, it has created two different bundles. One is an awesome-lib.js, and the other one is an awesome-lib UMD CJS or CommonJS. So they live around here, and this one contains this code, and this one created like this. Okay, so now we have two different bundles created by our library mode. Something cool that you can do is that it depends on the use case. You can define different formats here. So let's go to formats and let's add some here. So we have ES, we have, let's put CJS, let's put UMD, and let's put EEFE. I don't remember which, what this stands for, but I know there is a format option. So if you run it in our build, you're gonna see that now it creates 4 different bundles. This one starts like this, a CJS. Let me see the difference between, oh, so they're actually different. Okay, cool. And this is the EEFA, which is also different, and this one is like the minimum of them. Okay, cool. So as easy as that, you can create a bundle. Of course, there are more to it. You can do more fun stuff. So let's tweak a little bit more. But for now, let's test it in an actual app to see if it works. Okay, so now let's actually test it. We are gonna go to apps here. So I'm probably gonna create a different, yes, a different terminal here. And we are going to go to apps and let's create a Vite application here to test our library, okay? So we're gonna do exactly the same as before, pnpm create Vite, and in this case, let's say Vite app, okay? Or, yeah, Vite app. Okay, let's click enter and let's choose just Typescript. Okay, so we are gonna enter our Vite app. Okay, and here we are going to pnpm install to install everything. Okay, cool. And in this case, we can do run that. So if we click here, we're gonna go to our application. It's a basic application, it's a boilerplate. And now let's try to install our package, okay? So let's just close here and I'm going to try to put it a little below, okay? If we try to do pnpm install utils here to try to install the local one, it's actually not gonna work because there is already a library in npm called utils. So we are gonna have a problem there because it's not gonna install our local one. How we can deal with this? And you're gonna notice that in most of the libraries that you go, libraries that you see online, like Vue, for example, they have a notation that all the packages, when you install them, all the sub packages have an add before. So let's use the same notation. And if we go to the package JSON that is in the root, let's call it the same way. So awesome, leave. And this is gonna be like the monorep one, like the main one. Okay, this is not gonna create an npm package. But if we go to the package JSON of our utils one, let's use the same notation and call it utils. So all the packages are gonna live inside of the same namespace, and this is important. If we save here right now, and I go to Vite Lib example, apps Vite app, and I try to install this now. Awesome. Lib utils. You're gonna see that it created a symlink from our package utils. Since we have the version 000, it's gonna install that version on here. So if we go here, we're gonna see that the actual utils with this folder is inside of the node modules of the Vite application. Okay, this is why I love pnpm workspace so much. In the past you normally use Lerna, but it was deprecated, or what? Then it was like transmitted to another team, I think, and NGRX. But I prefer pnpm. It works really cool. Okay, so let's try it out. We have already our library here. If we go to, let's see, source. Okay, let's go to the main, where we can use it. Read the docs, maybe in the counter. Okay, element inner HTML. Okay, so here we can do something. We can create a variable here that it's is bigger than 0. Okay, and we're gonna say false. Or even better than that, counter. Okay, we're gonna put it inside here. Okay, and it's gonna be bigger than 0. So if count is bigger than 0, okay, it's gonna be here. Let's put like a const, and we are gonna pass it here, but we need to make sure that it is a boolean for any reason. So if it is a boolean and we import it from here, but instead of VS Code is gonna give you the relative one, let's actually pass it from the awesome lib utils, okay? And is boolean, and we're gonna pass here this one is bigger than 0. Then we are going to use element inner, count is counter, and is bigger than 0, okay? But if not, let's output the previous one without that. Okay, cool. You're gonna see this warning here that it cannot find module awesome libs util or it corresponding type declaration. We're gonna jump into that in a second. Now let's try to run this again. And rdef. You're gonna see that there is actually an issue, and it says failed to resolve entry for package awesome lib utils. The package might have an incorrect main module export specified in its package.json. This is really important, and it was the first error that I had because I didn't read the documentation quite well. And even if you have created your package util and you have this and everything, you still need to add some things on the package.json. So if we go here to our awesome lib utils package.json, let's go to the documentation. Here, this is the recommendation that it gives you for your library. And you're gonna see that it has these properties here. Let's copy and paste them and go back to our package.json. Okay, so one of them is files. So you're gonna say where your bundles are. In this case, we have them on the this folder. And inside of the this folder, we have also the main one is gonna be the UMD. So it's gonna be awesome lib, the same name that you have here, okay? So it's gonna take this one here. The module is gonna be the ES one. So it's gonna be this one here. We just need to change the name, that's fine, okay? And here in the exports, we need to put also the same. So whenever you're using import, you're gonna use the ES1. Of you using Node, you are gonna use require probably. So you can use this one. It's like a mapping thing. It's gonna tell the library that is, the application that is using this library to know which one to use. Let's save this. And now let's build it again. We have built it. Let's go back here. I don't know if you need to install it, but let's install it again. And let's run dev again. You see now there is no warning or there is nothing. And if we go here, we're gonna see that it always put is bigger than 0 because we only checking if it's a boolean or not. So let's try to tweak that because it's bigger than 0 count is this. Okay, let's now say that this is a string and see what happens. If we go here, we're gonna see that it doesn't return that because this is saying this is not a boolean. So whenever this is bigger than 0 is anything but a boolean, we can put also number, for example. You're gonna see that it's not here. But if we put count bigger than 0, it's gonna say this. If we put count, which is a number, it's not gonna prompt it. So our utility is actually working. It's going into our application. But we still have this TypeScript issue, right? It cannot find the declaration file for module. Let's fix that. So we can create the declaration files in several ways, but my favorite one is using a plugin for Vite that is called Vite plugin DTS or declaration TypeScript. So we're gonna install that one, and we're gonna go to package utils pnpm add, and in this case is Vite plugin DTS. So it's gonna install it. If you remember in the previous tutorial about Vite, we can extend Vite functionality with plugins. If we go to the define config, if we go to plugins, we can add a plugin here. Okay, so we're gonna import, well, maybe I can put it like this, DTS. No, it doesn't auto import it. Okay, that's fine. So DTS from Vite plugin DTS, and we need to pass configuration here. So it's an object, and we're gonna say insert types entry. Okay, and we are gonna save this part. So how does this work, right? If we go to our code, we're gonna see that we don't have any types declaration. We only have this Vite environment declaration that works for Vite, but we don't have anything for our library yet. If we run again the build, gonna tsc, we're gonna see the Vite DTS start generating declaration files built in this amount of time. And if we go to the dist, you're gonna see now that each one of the bundles have their own declaration Typescript. And this one is only saying, hey, I have this one here, this is the type declaration. So if we go back to our application here in the counter, and I might need to, oh wait, I forgot something. So in the packages, you also need to put something in the package. You need to say where the declarations are. So to do that, you're gonna add another property here in the package JSON called types, and you're gonna say, hey, they are all in the index.ts, in the index.d.ts. Okay, let's save that. Build again, just in case. I don't know if it has anything to do, but just to make sure. And here we are going to install it again. By the way, something cool. Let's say that this change here for the types, it needs another version. So let's say this is a 0.1.0, okay? You normally not do it manually. You have some certain mechanisms that do it automatically based on the comments, but let's do it manually. And now let's install it again. And you're gonna see that there is no matching version found for Awesome Lib Utils 00 inside of the workspace. So if you go here to the package JSON over Vite app, we're gonna see that we are trying to have the version 0. Let's change it to 1 and let's try and install again, and now install the new version. So that's the way you can control exactly what versions in your local environment are used. Now let's run dev again, make sure that everything is working, which it is, yes. If we go to counter and we say this is bigger than 0, okay, it works. And look at this here, it no longer complains about the TypeScript. So this is really important. That's something that happens to me the first time. I create a library for dynamic forms in Vue, and a lot of people were complaining about the TypeScript declaration not being found. This is the way I solve it. It took me some time, and I was investigating how other libraries done it, and they were using DTS. So of course, it doesn't make sense to have a library only for one line of code. So I just added a little bit of formatting here, and I'm going to remove this one here. Okay, and this is more likely to be the final format for your library. Let's say you continue with the idea of creating the utilities library. Okay, so this is similar to the one that I created for myself. I have different index files. Okay, this one is containing all the different like is checkers. So if it's a browser, if it's defined, it has a value. This is the one that we were using before, the is boolean. Okay, and I have a lot of them, like to check if it's a function number, etc. And also if it's empty, which use is array and is object. Okay, I also have some formatting ones that I use a lot, really often, like it's Lugify. This one I like it a lot because it's you pass a string, and it basically creates a slug version of it. For example, the path that you have in the routers. If you have a title for that page, you use Slugify to convert it to the path of the route. So that's pretty handy. Also, I have some of them, for example, when you have backend data that uses underscore for the properties and you want to use them in a more JavaScript fashion, you convert them in from a snake to camel. Okay, so this is the one that I have for that. Also, some recursivity, more advanced stuff. But what I want to show you here is that if you have the different here, you only need to export them here and in the index. Okay, so you're gonna say export all from format and export all from is. Okay, and this is gonna be the index.ts. Let's build it again and finally test it on our application. But before we continue, some words from our sponsors that make possible this channel. Looking for a CMS solution that is great both for marketing teams and developers? Look no further. Storyblok is the headless CMS solutions that you always wanted to have. See how easy it is to change content for your website with a real-time visual editor, creating a delightful customer experience for your teams. Go from a content update to production in no time. Storyblok is easily integrable with multiple tech stacks, making your dev team's life easier. Go and try it for free at storyblok.com. So if we go here to the main TS, let's use an example with the console log. Okay, so we're gonna, maybe we can add the output here, but let's say we have a title, so const title equal awesome library mode. Okay, and let's use Slugify for this. So let's create another one that is going to be output equal Slugify, and let's see if I make possible to import it from Awesome Libs. Okay, perfect. Now I did it. Let's put it on the top. Okay, so Slugify, and we're gonna pass the title to Slugify. And do we have something that says title? Yes, we have. So instead of this here, let's add the title. So we're gonna add output here. And let's see how it works. So we go here and you're gonna see that we have a Slugify version of the title that we create. So perfect, a library is working. A plugin for Rollup that is really cool is called Visualizer. Okay, you can install it by Rollup plugin Visualizer, and what it basically does is it creates this visual format for how your library is built. In this case, this is the UMD one, but it's the same for the ES one, and it shows you in this based on boxes that the size resembles the bundle size of that chunk. How my bundle is created, and this is especially important whenever you're doing a real life production library, that you check the size of the bundle. In this case, you can see, for example, that this is my code here, and this is the one coming from vendors. Okay, so third-party dependencies. In this case, I'm using Cheeky because I have a component that formats the code, okay, like a code block, and adds a highlighter for the languages and stuff, and you can see this is most of the bundle that I have. I could externalize Cheeky the same way I'm doing it with Vue and Vue use and stuff, so the user will need to install it outside of my library, and that will reduce my library size. That's one thing that I can actually see whenever I use the visualizer, like identify that I have some third-party dependencies, and maybe it's wiser to put it outside or external. And then you have all the bundles for your different applications here, for example, as cards, text image components and stuff. So this is pretty cool, and you can add it to your library to see how it's built, on what functions or what modules are occupying the most space and so on. It's more for optimizing. And that's pretty much for today's video about how to create a library using Vite. If you have any questions, feel free to drop a message in the comment sections. Make sure to subscribe, drop a like, and see you in the next one. Happy coding!